So I had something kind of strange happen to me the other day. The other day being Sunday. I'm recording this on a Monday. I go to church, and in the church parking lot, a guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, I need you to look at my financial plan." Right? And he just gives me this 3-4 page plan, and it's interesting. Right? I'm in the middle of the church parking lot. The kids are out playing on the playground, and I'm staring at this thing, and it's like 3 or 4 pages, and it says I just scan the entire thing. And at the bottom, it says net worth 4.25 million. Okay, good, right? And it projects, which is not going to be the future per se, is going to be worth 16 million. I'm kind of scanning for the things that are normally on a financial plan, and he checks all the boxes, right? Now you might be thinking, why in the world would this guy just stop you in the middle of a church parking lot? Well, truth is, I did a whole seminar like several weeks ago on the Big Beautiful Bill, and we kind of talked about that, so that's why he even brought it up in the first place. So I understand. Weird to stop me in the middle of what I was doing, but I get it. In either case, though, I started to think, well, wait a minute. When I was a financial advisor in New York, I managed over $140 million. I've seen dozens and dozens of millionaires. I understand what to look for in these plans. He had the exact same stuff. The exact same stuff. Even though he didn't truly have a financial planner, he kind of cobbled some stuff together on ChatGPT and some other spaces. And on paper, had all the stuff you would need. So what are the traits that these people tend to have? And what are the things that we should start to implement in our own financial plans and the mindsets that we should have, and why? Like, why are these things extremely important? Let's go ahead and break it down. So not only these are traits, these are also tips too that you may want to include if you don't already have in your financial plan or even your own to-do list. The first one is this. It is, you can call it estate planning is the true term for it, but it is absolutely protecting what you have. I think a lot of us, especially those on the younger end, are trying to get as much money as possible. We call this the accumulation phase. We want to just grow and grow and grow, and not enough of us are considering like, hey, how do I keep what I have? Now, there are different levels to this. Level 1 is your beneficiaries. When I'm gone, how do I make sure this money goes to who I want it to go to? I wasn't an English major, so maybe it's whom. To whom do I want this money to go to? Whatever, right? But that's something you can do for free. You can do it before the end of this video. Pull up your accounts, even your bank accounts, and say, hey, I want it to go to, mom and dad, perhaps. I want it to go to my adult children. I wanted to go to my wife, which should be automatic depending on what state, but I've talked to an attorney on that. But those are the things you can do for free. That's level 1. Level 2 is getting a will. That says, hey, my house, right? These large ticket items, right? These physical items need to go to this person, and this person. And then you have the largest item, and that is, or the highest level, and there's a trust. And that is a legal entity in a way. I'm simplifying this. That says, hey, this can be owned inside of this legal entity, and that is going to determine what goes where. And that makes it super efficient. Okay. Now, again, we can have an estate attorney if you have more questions on that. Now, again, I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to get into the weeds of it. But the main thing is you can help to control those assets, make sure they go to who you want them to go to, and it protects your assets. It protects what you do have. That is something I consistently see across all the millionaires that I've met and all the millionaire clients that I've had. They always think about, hey, now I've gotten this money. Now I'm moving towards this level. How do I protect it? Hold on, before we continue, I want to make sure that you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. All right, back to the video. It's like, hey, now I've got my new house. Let me go and put it in a trust so I can protect it and make sure that if something happens to me, it goes to the people I need to go to. Also, for liability purposes, something happens to me, I get sued, I don't actually own the house, right? You can sue me, I ain't got no money though, because it's in the trust. Things like that. They're always looking for ways to protect themselves and make sure that it goes to the people that they need it to go to. And they always do that, even before they hit millionaire status. I am very close to millionaire status, but I ain't there yet, and I've already set up the trust, right? That's just from seeing them do it, right? But it's something they always are considering doing every single time. Next piece is expertise. Right? That is something I consistently see people do, and this is most often before they hit that millionaire status. Now, the expertise part is whether it's bringing in a tax expert to do your taxes, whether it's bringing in a financial planner to help you do financial planning, whether it's bringing in someone for insurance to help you do insurance things. And it does several things. Number one, it helps you to save time, right? Not every millionaire is making $100 or $200 or $300 or $400,000. That is a fact. More people than you think are actually making less than that but still hitting millionaire status for the third reason that is on our list, which we will get to. However, the main thing is I don't always have time to do my taxes, nor am I a tax expert. There's a reason we don't have a ton of tax videos unless it's talking about buying and selling stock and the tax advantages of doing that. That is the only thing I'm, quote unquote certified or qualified, rather is a better term, to use for that specific purpose. That's pretty much it. I hire a tax person. I've been hiring a tax person, tax people, depending on what state I'm living in. Been doing that every year. I would say after the first or second year I got married, because things got real complex real quick. I said, all right, look, it's going to be worth what we are paying because it is beyond my scope. I got a business. We're married now. At one point we were in New York. Taxes were higher. I need somebody to help me navigate this and bring this bill down, right? Then we had kids. Then we had a house. There were different things that it was out of my scope. I didn't have time to do it, and they were much better at navigating those things. You gotta bring in people when it is above your scope or it takes too much time, and just have someone who does that stuff all day. A lot of people don't want to hire a financial planner because they think it's expensive. Number one, doesn't have to be. We had a whole sponsor for 3 months, right? So you go back and check those videos. It doesn't have to be super expensive, but number one, they can also help you with other things not investing related. Like, I don't think that you have to have somebody sit there and pick stocks all day, even though, on this channel, we're pretty good at that. However, that's not all that they do, but sometimes they'll bring in somebody to help me create the entire plan of what we need to do, how we need to do it, meet a few times a year, make sure you're at, and then that's it. We just meet just a few times, and then you do what you got to do. But there's times where it's like, look, I'm only going to meet with you at this point in life, and then it is what it is in between there. And then you've got other people, just like my attorney, we'll meet to do the estate planning part, and I don't meet with them again until, something big happened, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, right? But we get a new house, right? Or there is, something, a contract we have to review or something like that. Those are the only times that you bring those experts in. It doesn't always have to be every single month, every single day that person's coming in to your life, right? Or into your schedule or your calendar all the time. But bring in those people, or millionaires rather, will bring in those people because it saves you time. It helps to cut down on the mistakes. I think that is the biggest thing that people don't always think about. I did a video on Instagram the other day where I talked about a comment where somebody said, when you leave your toxic job, cash out your 401k. Well, I'm someone who, again, as a former financial advisor, I've seen what happens to people when they cash out their 401k, how much they pay in taxes, how much they pay in penalties. I've also helped people to roll over their 401k to avoid those penalties and avoid those taxes. So I know from experience, from the exams I've had to take and all those things, how to help you to avoid that. We're talking anywhere between 20 to 30% just lost in taxes and penalties. So if you had a $100,000 account that you wanted to cash out, that's $30,000 you could have lost. $30,000 you could have lost versus paying, let's say $300, $400, $500 of, hey, let me meet with Kevin for a little bit and avoid a $30,000, event just for that. This is why they hire these people. This is why I hire a tax person, because I could have made that mistake not knowing that I could have pressed this button and done this and avoided those types of things. Millionaires will do that because they realize the value of, hey, if I don't check this box on a tax form, it might mess everything up. If I don't put this thing in a trust, it can really make things a very big headache for myself or my family down the line. Hiring experts for certain things, certain transactions, certain investments, so on and so forth, can absolutely help you down the line. And that is how they protect their wealth and grow their wealth as well. But then we move into the last piece. That was long. That is the consistency and process part of it. Regardless of the industry that these people are in, whether they're doctors, they're in sales, they're in tech, whatever, I consistently see that they are consistent. And that's usually because they have some sort of process. Everybody's process is going to be different, regardless of what field I have seen these people in. I can't say that these people are necessarily rigid, but they are usually like, hey, I've always been a saver, or I have a system to make sure I always save, or I always invest. And that is something that if you're not someone who's naturally set up that way, you don't have to be. You don't have to be anymore, at least. There are apps like M1 and other apps that we've talked about on the channel where you can set up a schedule. Dollar cost averaging is one of those where you can say, hey, take 15% of my salary, or on the 1st and 15th, take X amount of my investing account, put in an index fund. Something like that. And that consistency is what can build you up over time. And after 5 years, after 7 years, you realize, oh wait, it's my first 100,000. That's gonna get you to that next level, right? Once you hit that first 100,000, that is when things are definitely going to speed up. But those types of pieces of consistency is what's going to get you to point A, from point A to point B, so on and so forth. But you have to have some piece of automation. It used to be willpower. You had to have extreme focus and all types of stuff. You don't need it anymore. All you need is a good 10 or 15 minutes of focus to set up all those buttons, to automate it. And you're pretty much good from there. After that, you can hire in an expert for taxes or planning or estate or whatever it is you need to do, and they can come in and check everything else if you don't want to do it yourself, right? So that's totally up to you. But those are the traits, right? Making sure that you are protecting. You can get all the money you want, but make sure you are protecting your assets, bringing experts whenever you need to, and making sure those things are automated. You can even look at, athletes who are doing incredibly well, or look at people in entertainment who are transitioning into things. You'll notice that it's just not, hey, I've done all this stuff on my own. It's usually, yeah, I've got a really good team that's helped me to transition. I think a lot about someone like LeBron James, right? You can think of whatever it is you want about him and Michael Jordan. It's not that type of conversation. But a lot of his success off the court, like he's one of the few billionaire athletes, but a lot of his stuff off the court is because of his agent and his business people, right? It is him having a very good expert, right, in that field of agenting, or whatever it is, helping to build a lot of that stuff outside of just basketball. So it's stuff like that, right? You want to have a team, and you are going to need a team to build or to protect the things that you build. So those are the things I've seen from the inside, right? And you don't have to wait until you get millionaire status. You're likely going to need pieces of this as you grow up into that millionaire status. So those are the things I recommend. Those are the things that I noticed, and I want to make sure that you had that. If you want to know other things as you move up the ladder and grow your net worth, make sure you check out this video right here.